Virgo, stop. Just stop right where you are because I need you to understand something before we go a single second further into this reading. What I'm feeling around your energy right now, and I mean the moment I sat down and tuned into the specific frequency of the person watching this, what I felt stopped me completely, not gradually, not in the slow building way energy usually moves when I sit with a sign immediately. Like walking into a room and knowing something significant has shifted before you can see what it is or name what changed. And what I kept feeling over and over in wave after wave was the specific sensation of something arriving, not approaching, not on its way in some distant, eventually it will get here sense, arriving, present tense, the energy of something that has already crossed the threshold and is standing in your doorway right now, waiting for you to look up and recognize it. That something is what you've been wishing for. I know how that sounds. I know that sentence has been said before in other readings, in other spaces, and for many of you, it has arrived and then dissolved without becoming real. And I am not going to dismiss that history. I am not going to pretend that your hope hasn't been tested. I am not going to ask you to be innocent again in the way you were innocent before the waiting taught you to be careful with your expectations. But I am going to ask you to stay with me because what I'm seeing for you right now is not the same energy as before. It doesn't feel like possibility. It doesn't feel like potential. It feels like arrival. And there's a difference between those things that I think you already know how to feel, even if you've been afraid to trust that feeling. Before we go deeper, if something in your chest already said yes while I was talking, if something in you recognized what I just described before your mind had time to argue with it, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and drop the word arriving in the comments right now, because that word is exactly what Spirit keeps repeating over your energy. Not coming, not soon, arriving. Let's go into the reading. Because Spirit has been waiting to tell you this, and I don't want to keep either of us waiting any longer. The first thing I'm seeing, the wish itself. The first thing that came through when I tuned into your energy was not a card, not an image, not a symbol. It was a feeling, a very specific feeling that I want to describe carefully because I think when I name it, you're going to recognize it immediately. It was the feeling of wanting something so much that you stopped letting yourself want it completely. You know that feeling, that particular form of self protection that looks like peace from the outside, but from the inside feels like holding your breath. When something matters so much that full wanting feels dangerous. When you've learned to keep one part of yourself slightly detached from the thing you most desire, because full desire without guarantee feels like too much exposure, like standing in the open with no cover when you don't know if the storm is coming. You've been wanting this thing, whatever it is for you, and I'm going to speak to several possibilities because Spirit is showing me this landing in different ways for different people watching. You've been wanting it completely. In the private part of yourself where you don't perform for anyone, in the quiet moments when your defenses are down and your truest feelings surface without asking permission. And on the surface, in the version of yourself you present to the day, you've been careful, measured, reasonably hopeful, but not dangerously so. Wanting it, but holding the wanting loosely enough that if it doesn't arrive, you won't shatter. Spirit is acknowledging that posture today, and Spirit is telling you something very specific about it. You can put it down now. The careful holding, the measured hoping, the 1 foot in, 1 foot out relationship with your own desire. You can release that now, not because wanting fully is no longer risky, because what you've been wanting is no longer just a wish. It has shifted categories. It has moved from the space of hoping into the space of happening. And the careful distance you've been keeping from your own desire is the only thing that could cause you to miss recognizing it when it fully lands. Let yourself want it completely. For the first time in a long time, it's safe to. The second thing I'm seeing, what is actually coming. Now, let me get specific because Spirit is not being vague with me today, and I'm not going to be vague with you. I'm seeing two streams of energy moving toward you simultaneously. And what is remarkable, what is the part of this reading that made me need to stop and sit with it before I could speak, is that both of these streams are connected. They feed each other. The arrival of one makes the arrival of the other more possible, more real, more sustainable. They are not two separate blessings. They are two expressions of the same fundamental shift happening in your life right now. The first stream is relational. Someone is moving towards you with something in their hands. And what they're carrying, what they've been carrying for longer than they've let you see, is the truth of how they feel, not a version of it, not the managed, carefully edited, kept at a safe distance version they've been presenting, the actual thing, the feeling underneath the behavior, the reality that has been living beneath the surface of whatever dynamic has existed between you, pressing upward, becoming impossible to contain. For many of you, this is romantic, deeply, specifically romantic in a way that has history to it. This is not a new person arriving with new feelings. This is someone already in your world, someone with whom something has always existed, has always been present, has always been the thing underneath the thing. Finally letting that something come to the surface fully. What they are about to bring you is what you have been wishing they would bring for a very long time. Not a hint of it, not an almost version of it. The real thing said out loud, or shown through action, or expressed in a way that leaves no room for the ambiguity that has been exhausting you both. The clarity you've been wanting from this person, the knowing, the naming, the choosing, it's coming, not eventually, in the window of time that is right in front of you now. For others of you, the relational stream isn't romantic, it's a repair. A relationship that has been broken or distant or unresolved, finding its way back toward wholeness. A conversation that needs to happen, happening. A connection you thought might be permanently lost, revealing itself to be more resilient than either of you knew. The second stream is about your life in the material, practical, daily sense. Something is shifting in the circumstances of your life. In the landscape of what is possible for you professionally, financially, in terms of stability and security and the particular feeling of being properly held by your own life. Something that has felt uncertain or insufficient or not quite right is moving toward resolution, toward alignment, toward a version of your circumstances that actually matches what you need and what you offer and what you deserve. This might arrive as an opportunity, a door opening that you did not see coming, and that when it opens will feel almost startlingly well timed, as though someone with full knowledge of exactly what you need arranged it precisely for this moment. It might arrive as information, something you learn or discover that changes what you believe is available to you. That expands the map of what's possible in a way that makes the last period of limitation suddenly make sense because it was preparing you for what you're now about to step into. It might arrive through a person, someone who sees your value clearly, who has the ability to act on that seeing, and who is about to bring you something concrete that reflects that clarity. However it arrives, recognize it for what it is. Do not talk yourself out of it. Do not find the caveat. Do not let the part of you that is practiced at disappointment convince you that something this well timed must have a catch. It doesn't have a catch, it has your name on it. The third thing I'm seeing, why now? Virgo, I need to talk to you about why this is happening now. Because the timing is not random, and I think you deserve to understand what you've actually done to bring yourself to this moment. The energy I keep feeling underneath everything I've described, underneath the relational arrival, underneath the material shift, underneath all of it, is the energy of something that was earned, not in the effortful, grinding, I worked hard so I deserve this sense. In the deeper and more honest sense of someone who maintained their integrity through a period when maintaining integrity was genuinely costly. You have been through a stretch. I don't need to know the specific details of your specific stretch to know that it was real and that it asked something of you, something significant. There was a period, and for many of you it was longer than it should have been, where you were doing the right things without the right things producing visible results, where you were staying open without the openness being rewarded, where you were keeping faith without the faith being confirmed, where the evidence around you was suggesting that maybe the thing you wanted wasn't coming, maybe the waiting was foolish, maybe the hope was a form of denial rather than a form of wisdom, and you kept going anyway. Not with forced positivity, not by pretending the difficulty wasn't difficult, with something quieter and more real than positivity, a fundamental refusal to become someone smaller than you are. A refusal to let the circumstances shrink your sense of what you deserve or what you're capable of or what's possible for you. A refusal to trade your actual life for a more comfortable, more protected, smaller version of it. That refusal is what you brought to this moment. And the universe, whatever you believe about the nature of that word, whatever framework you use for understanding how things work, does not forget that kind of faithfulness. It does not lose track of what was offered and not returned, of what was given without guarantee, of what was maintained without evidence. What is arriving now is the evidence, not because the universe operates on a transaction system, because you stayed in alignment with your own truth long enough for the external world to catch up to it. Because the things you've been wishing for were always moving towards you, they just needed you to remain recognizably yourself long enough to receive them. You did that. Through everything, you did that. The fourth thing I'm seeing, what changes after this? I want to show you what I see beyond the immediate arrival. Because what's coming in the near window of time is not a single event that improves things temporarily. It's a doorway. And I want to describe what's on the other side of it so you understand what you're actually stepping into. I see a version of your life where the waiting feeling is gone. Not because everything is perfect, not because life stops presenting challenges or complexity or moments that require courage, but because the specific quality of suspension that has defined the last stretch, that particular combination of hoping and not knowing, of wanting and not receiving, of being in the in between, that specific experience ends. You step out of the waiting room and into the thing itself. On the relational side, I see something that has been undefined becoming defined, something that has been felt but not spoken becoming spoken, something that has been held privately between two people who both knew but neither had fully said becoming something real and external and named and chosen. The relief of that, the specific relief of something finally being what it actually is rather than what you've both been carefully not calling it that. Relief is one of the most beautiful things I've seen in a reading in a long time. On the material side, I see stability, real stability, not the fragile, temporary one thing going wrong away from falling apart kind, the kind with foundations, the kind that rises and holds, the kind where you stop having to ration your sense of security because the sense of security has something real underneath it. And on the interior side, in the part of this that is about your relationship with yourself, I see something I want to name very carefully because it matters enormously. I see you believing it, not performing belief, not telling yourself you're grateful while a quieter part of you waits for it to dissolve, actually fully in the deepest layer of your own experience, believing that this is real, that you are here, that the thing you wished for arrived, that you are the kind of person this happens to, not because you're lucky, not because the universe made an exception for you, but because you were always this person and you just had to get through enough to see it confirmed. That moment of full believing of the wish becoming reality so completely that the wishing is over, that is what's coming. What I need you to do right now, I want to leave you with something practical, not a list, not a protocol, something simple and specific that will matter enormously over the next several days as what I've described begins to arrive. Pay attention to what feels like coincidence, the specific thought that arrives out of nowhere when your mind is quiet, the name that surfaces without being called, the feeling that something is close before you have any external reason to believe it, the moment when something that has been opaque suddenly becomes transparent. These are not coincidences. These are the leading edge of what's arriving the way energy announces itself before it takes physical form. When those moments come, stay with them. Don't rush past them. Don't let the busyness of your day dissolve them before they've had a chance to tell you what they came to tell you. Let them land. Let them mean what they mean. And when the arrival itself comes, when the thing you've been wishing for finally shows up in actual, tangible, real world form, let yourself receive it completely, not with one eye on the exit, not with the protective distance you've been keeping between yourself and your own hope, with both hands open, with the part of you that has been waiting for exactly this, fully present and fully willing to be in it. You have been faithful to something that deserved your faithfulness. And what is arriving now is proof that the faithfulness was never wasted, that the wish was never foolish, that the hoping through everything, through all of it, through every moment when hoping felt like the least reasonable choice available to you, the hoping was always right. What you wished for is real. It's arriving. And the smile that is on its way to your face, the one that comes when you realize that all of this is exactly as true as it felt when you were watching. That smile has already been earned. Go receive it, Virgo. Come back and tell me in the comments which part landed first. Tell me what arrived. Tell me what the wish was, because those words, your confirmations, are what this work is for. Subscribe if you want to stay in the energy, and I'll see you when the next thing moves.